Opinions expressed on this program are not those of Inner City Broadcasting or its subsidiaries. Now, it's time for On Point with Cynthia Hardy, the most talked about, thought-provoking hour in radio. Sponsored by State Farm. Here's your host, Cynthia Hardy.
Good evening. Welcome to On Point with Cynthia Hardy. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. In this week's show, street culture and the African American experience. Over the past 20 or so years, hip-hop, what started as a music genre, has morphed into a culture that has spawned its own lingo, its own style of dress, and many would argue its own attitude toward everything from education, crime, even our social mores and values. And while hip-hop is certainly embraced by people all over the world, it seems to have a particular effect on children of color. Many say that while the genre has many positive attributes, the downside seems to be that it breeds attitudes that breed devaluing education, put a high premium on promoting violence and crime, even female promiscuity. So this week on Point, on the eve of the country's celebration of the Martin Luther King holiday, we are focusing on our young children, teenagers, and young adults. We want to hear from them and their parents today on whether the street culture born out of hip-hop contributes to things that disrespect authority, contribute to low graduation rates, even high incidence of teen pregnancy. Please meet our guest. Preach Jacobs lives in Colombia but has a national and an international reach with his music. He's been featured by a number of media outlets for his event called Mo Better Soul, and we'll hear more about that today. We welcome 48 Roy. He's a rapper who wants to give back to kids in his community. His message is that young people should look beyond their immediate surroundings and strive to improve themselves. We welcome Ben FREEZY today. He is making moves in hip-hop circles. He has an event coming up intended to highlight the positive contributions of hip-hop, and he, too, has a message for the young. We're certainly hoping that Fat Rat the Czar will join us as well. Of course, he, too, is a very, very popular entertainer in our area that has more than statewide attention. He has regional attention as well. Then later in the show, we're going to hear from Dr. Percy Mack, who's superintendent of schools for Richland School District 1, one of the state's largest districts, and we'll also be joined by Hillary Shelton, a national guest from Washington, D.C. He's the bureau chief for the NAACP there. On Point welcomes all of you guys to the show today.
Hey, what's going on?
And for you guys that are listening, you know, for me, the difference is you. That's why you got to give me a call. Call me at 783-9936. My out-of-town callers, 1-888-783-9936. It's a free call. If you have Sprint as your cell phone carrier, we will pay for that call. You just dial us at pound 101. Now, from the onset, I want to say that On Point is a hip-hop fan. Let me say that from the onset. Many of you guys have spotted yours truly at hip-hop concerts. So this show is not about beating up on hip-hop, but it is about the impact of street culture and our responsibility to our young people. Let's start by asking each of our artists to personally introduce themselves, and Ben, we'll start with you.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, South Carolinians. It's Hustle Boy being Frank, Hustle Boy INC, Jared Favor from West Columbia, Dixieana, South Carolina. You know what I'm saying? Glad to be here.
Glad for you to be here. Preach as well. Preach, I am welcoming you for the first time to On Point as well.
Yes, it is. What's going on, everybody? My name is Preach Jacobs. I am a musician, journalist, and photographer, and also event organizer with a monthly event that I put together called Mo Better Soul, where the tagline is music, art, and coffee, and our focus is to promote visual artists, musical artists, as well as have some cool fly shows or whatever. So it's really, really exciting. I also have an independent record label called Sound Familiar Records, and it's an international label. We have stuff going on in Japan, London, hopefully South Africa next year, or this year, shall I say. So things are going pretty well.
Good, and it's good to see you here. I've read some stuff about you, and so it's very, very nice to welcome you here. This show got going because 48 Roy reached out to me and said to me that I should do something that targets an audience that doesn't normally listen to the show, and I appreciate that.
No problem. This is your boy 48 Roy checking in, Columbia, South Carolina, born and raised in Bluff Road, Arthur Town, CEO of Arthur Town Global Network, Fast Ed Division. I'm about to start a new foundation called Knowledge First to get the kids to understand that no matter what you go through, education will take you farther than any of your problems. So right now, I'm just glad to be here, Ms. Hardy.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you here. And I'm happy to have Dr. Percy Mack on with us as well. Dr. Mack, thank you for joining us today as well.
Hey, good afternoon. How you doing, Cynthia?
We're doing well, Dr. Mack. Thank you for joining us, and I know you had an opportunity to hear the artists that are here with us on the show as well.
Yes, I did, and good afternoon to the artists as well.
Okay.
All right, good afternoon.
I'm going to start, you guys, by talking about the street culture itself and its impact on young people. Preach, when you think about the street culture, what comes to mind to you?
I think one of the funniest things when I'm thinking about people speaking about hip-hop culture is that I like to tell people that hip-hop culture, for the most part, we talk about what's going on. Whereas before hip-hop culture, we still had violence in the community. We still had teenage pregnancies. We still had, crime. We still had the civil rights movement where when we would say that, hey, there's a lot of violence on television, when my parents were growing up, it was the Vietnam War, or you could watch and see the civil rights movement and our people being attacked by dogs and stuff like that. So I do think that people are really, really quick to attack the culture, but I do feel that street culture has always been there. I think now with hip-hop, it's kind of a gift and a curse where every other genre of music, you have to have instruments or have a garage band. But hip-hop was a voice for the voiceless, so you don't have to have all that stuff. So it gave the opportunity for the voiceless to have an opportunity to express themselves. And I think that's great. But at the same time, sometimes, everybody ends up putting out a record and there's no quality control. So that's really what I think our job is, to sift out what's good and what's bad. And it's not violent music, it's not positive music, it's good and bad. And I think that if we have that variety with hip-hop, then everything will be better. So,
Good. Ben, I want to ask you about your event that's coming up. Now, you have an event that will recognize a number of people in the industry in our area,
right.
and that's certainly very, very positive. So tell me a little bit about that event, and talk to me about the responsibility that you think that artists should have to the entire community. Because when you see the crime and violence going on out there, and then you hear people singing about it and rapping about it, do you feel any responsibility for it?
Yeah, to go ahead and elaborate on that, we have a Bridging the Gap that's going down. Bridging the Gap Hip Hop Honors is honoring everyone, those who haven't stepped up to the plate for artists or for the community or for the state. You know what I'm saying? Honoring everybody. You know what I'm saying? Artists, DJs, promoters. You know what I'm saying? Everybody know their role. You know what I'm saying? So that's on January 20th at Club Raw. You know what I'm saying? We got them coming from all over the areas. You know what I'm saying? From my connection, personally, you know what I'm saying? But to elaborate on what you're saying, as far as with the street culture, I would say I don't want to go all the way to that. You know what I'm saying? What I'm trying to get at is with the street culture, with your leaders that done been in the area, into the position where they're leaders. A lot of them came from the streets, so they know how to speak both languages. You know what I'm saying? And someone was smart enough to speak the politics and speak the lingo of the street, you know what I'm saying, so the street, so they can get both parties, you know what I'm saying, to come together as one, you know what I'm saying, just like presidency, you know what I'm saying, they know how to speak both lingos, you know what I'm saying, to get everybody to vote, you know what I'm saying, in this area and to get them to vote in this area, you know what I'm saying, so you have to learn both, you know what I'm saying, in order, you know what I'm saying.
And is that what you think, then, is the problem when people just stop at what they're hearing and what they're seeing in their own environment? As a matter of fact, I'm going to segue to 48 Roy, because that is how we started talking, Ben, about this conversation period, because what he said to me is that he wasn't really satisfied with what he was seeing with the kids in the Bluff Road area, and he felt as if there was a responsibility of the older ones, the leaders, as you're talking about, to reach back and to do something. Right. But in absence of that, and if they're left just to hear it and just to emulate it, then don't you think there's danger in that?
Oh, it's a lot of danger because just like I say, what people seem to hear and what they see, they kind of follow it like monkey see, monkey do. You know what I'm saying? So when they see their favorite movie or whatever, they see Van Damme or whatever, you know, they playing their role as a big action hero and stuff like that. They want to be that person. You know what I'm saying? They look at Belly and want to play Buns. You know what I'm saying? They look at that. You know what I'm saying? They want to be that. They hear a song from 50 Cent. You know what I'm saying? They want to be that character.
And and 48 Roy, I think that is that's dangerous, because Ben mentioned, of course, 50 Cent, and the music is good, but when you realize how he came to prominence, it was because of a violent act that he survived, and so is that good? So talk to me about the responsibility that you see, 48 Roy, that artists such as yourselves have to the community and to the reactions of the people to your music.
Well, even though 50 Cent came up off a violent act, it was really the outcome that sold his success. You know, like, and when I'm out here around my neighborhood, like, I feel we should have more open conversations with the kids. Like, because if you're going to let your kid listen to hip-hop, let them know that hip-hop is business. Some of these dudes lived this, some of these dudes didn't. It's some of these dudes' life, but at the same time, that don't mean because you listen to hip-hop that you can't tell your kids, well, okay, this is just entertainment, it is just music. Still, at the end of the day, you need to focus on going to school, going to college. It's more opportunities than hip-hop. And, like, being that I'm from the hood and that I'm doing music, my experience by me going to prison and coming back home, everybody around me look at the outcome of that. You know, I think we need to discuss more with the kids what are the outcomes of these acts more than attacking them on subjects as you shouldn't be listening to this. We need to discuss to them that it is outcomes to everything you do. It's consequences.
Absolutely. You know? Fat Rat, I'm so glad you joined us, and I, of course, teased the fact that you did. Pull that microphone to you, and let me say from the onset, Fat Rat, you know I like your music.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're very, very welcome. I like your music. And so I'm very, very excited that you were able to join us today. Everyone had the opportunity to introduce themselves. Would you introduce yourself, say a little bit about yourself and some of the projects that you have going on?
Well, first of all, my name is Fat Rat CZAR, right here from Hopkins, South Carolina. I'm so happy to be here. Look at Cynthia, man. We talk all the time, but I got a chance to be on her show.
I feel like we're old friends.
Yeah, we old buddies. But I've been doing hip hop in Columbia a real long time. I came from a group called Street Side. Basically, they did a lot in the 90s. In 2006, we took a break, and I came with a solo career. Cold War 1 and 2 is the main projects people know me for now. But you know, we're doing a little bit of everything everywhere. So,
what do you think about our topic today?
Well, you know, hip hop, you know, it's a culture. You know what I'm saying, and we're responsible for the way this culture acts in society. Mm-hmm. And frankly, right about now, you know, our forefathers explained that, you know, it's education as well as entertainment, and it's the responsibility of the MC, who's oftentimes a lot smarter than he leads to believe, to tell the youth, because you see this culture came from the streets. You understand? So the youth in the streets is going to hear it first. They're going to be the ones to put the stamp on it. Mm-hmm. And if you don't give them the full story, you know, it's important for me to be a good hip hop artist and talk about different things. It's also important for me to be a good father. You know, that's big. That's big, because hip hop needs fathers. Hip hop needs doctors. Hip hop needs lawyers. You know, it's a culture. It's not just a music. You know, so you got to be responsible for how it moves in society. You know, and that's the thing right now. They just kind of loosey-goosey with the music, and so therefore it's going to reflect in the people who listen to it most.
Absolutely, and I'm getting ready to segue into Dr. Percy Mack, who's also joining us, and you mentioned the parents. And Dr. Mack, as I'm listening to each of these talented men talk about what it is that they do and recognize that they have a heart and they are very, very concerned about what happens in their community, the truth of the matter is there has to be some balance in the life of a child who is listening to what is often adult music and without any filters on. You say what?
Well, you know, you're absolutely right, Cynthia. Young people are going to listen if they are not directed and monitored by their parents. And I think that parents have a responsibility to know what their kids are listening to and to share with them the things that they need to know so that they won't be led into situations that will be detrimental to them. Basically, children don't have the experiences that adults have. And so when they listen to the music and they hear certain names being called and certain profanities in some cases being used, then it becomes a part of their language as well. And you know, it's a situation where we have to really help our children, because in many cases they are lined up to go into situations that could cause them problems for the rest of their lives. And so we don't want that to happen. But, yes, they're going to listen. They're going to buy it. And I think that parents need to monitor, what their children are hearing, what their children are buying, and not just, give them the money and not know what's going on after that. And it becomes a responsibility of all of us, the community, the gentlemen who are sitting there, the faith-based organizations, to help our young people understand that this is, a lot of it's economics, business, and what have you. But, you have to understand right from wrong, and you have to follow it.
Certainly. You guys, I want you to jump in on this conversation as well, so you got to give me a call. Call me, 783-9936, 783-WWDM. My out-of-town caller is 1-888-783-9936, 783-WWDM. Preach, you heard Dr. Mack talk about the responsibility, and, of course, he feels a weight because he has golly, I didn't ask Dr. Mack, but I would say tens of thousands of kids that he is responsible for throughout the network of schools for Richland School District 1. And so when you hear the B word, or when girls are called hoes, or when you see a video and it's obvious that promiscuity is the way of the day, at what point is the responsibility of the artist there, or the responsibility of their home life and their parent?
I mean, I think it's a combination of all of that. But what I do think is a bigger issue that I think a lot of us don't really recognize is that every other genre of music has the ability to have diversity. So you can have your glam rock, you can have your shock rock, you can have your classic rock. And anytime you see Marilyn Manson dressed the way he does, the responsibility of rock culture isn't on his shoulders. They're just like, oh, well, that's one brand of rock. That's just what he does. And I think the problem with hip-hop, more than, the violent versions of hip-hop or the positive versions of hip-hop, is the people that's in control of how you hear it. I'm talking about the radio stations. I'm talking about the
record
networks, the labels. I mean, who's signing whom? You know what I mean? So I think when you look about 20 years ago, and you would listen to the radio, as far as hip-hop artists are concerned, you would have the Beastie Boys on the radio, you would have Tribe Called Quest, you would have NWA, you would have Public Enemy, which is an extremely political, responsible group.
But it was intelligent.
Right? But that's the point that I'm saying. People are saying, record labels will say, oh, this stuff wouldn't sell, but it does. And I think that if you give the audience an opportunity to have that diversity, they're going to make the right decisions. And the problem, I think, now is when children hear certain things that might be violent or promiscuous, et cetera, that's all they hear. And I think that it's up to the people that put the events together, like us. It's up to the people that put the music out. It's up to the people to be creative to get that out there. And I don't think it's just a situation of bashing the people that make violent rap, because, I'm an adult. I like to have violent rap every once in a while. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to hug the trees, every day of the week or whatever. I think it's more of a responsibility of giving us the diversity that our culture deserves. Well,
but without the filter of the parent, then that's sometimes a problem.
That's the other thing, too, yeah.
I want to go to the phone line and talk to Ice. Ice is an artist, I understand. Ice, thank you for listening to us.
Hey, how you doing?
We're great. What's on your mind?
Well, what I'm thinking is it starts at the parents start at home first, because as an artist, we all start, as an artist, the guys in the studio know that it starts what we see or what we go on, and everyone has different visions of everything. The consequences come from home, I believe, because if the parent doesn't start and say, well, yes, these guys are talking about this, or this guy's doing this, or he's showing this is what he's been through in life. This is not exactly what you have to go through. And college and school is the best thing for you at this point. Yes, you can listen to this, but we can filter. The parents can filter out more than the artist can, because the artist go by what he lives every day or what he sees every day.
Thank you very much, Ice. Fellas, tell me why rapping about college isn't cool, because y'all ain't rapping about college, Ben.
It's because a lot of personnel ain't in college. You know what I'm saying? So I would.
Do you think you have the power? Do you think you guys, and I'm talking to all of y'all now, do you think you guys have the power to make something sell or not sell? And I'm talking about concepts and ideas now.
Yeah, I mean, we have the power to, but for those that don't know the numbers or don't know the numbers game or don't know corporate, America, you know what I'm saying? They have control of that. They tell them what they want to, get put out. You know what I'm saying? Just like what they want to build and put on your street corners. You know what I'm saying? They have control of that. If you don't have control of that, you know what I'm saying, and know what's going on in your surroundings, then yeah, you're going to be a puppet.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you know, for the record, though, you know, there's a lot of very well-educated MCs. There was a MC that came here that I opened up for named Homeboy Sandman, who's toured around the world. He's a college graduate. I think he went to Berkeley. You know, and there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of people that are well-educated. There's a lot of people.
But do you get my point?
I definitely get your point.
Because I know there are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for instance, you know, artists won't rap necessarily about the positive things happening in their lives if they are one of those that is one of those that are down and dirty, and sell it because they're down and dirty, and because their street credibility is such that people like them for that.
I mean, I think. Here's what I think. The people, if the music is well done, well produced, well made, you know, people will make that decision. I mean, you know, Jesus Walks was the #1 record.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Like Kanye even said on the song, "I'm in the club singing about Jesus." You know what I mean? And I think you know, a lot of people believe that if you're positive, it's not going to work. But the problem is a lot of so-called positive music. Some of it just ain't good.
Okay. We're in the studio with Fat Rat the CZAR. We've got Ben FREEZY in here. We've got Preach Jacobs with us, as well as 48 Roy. And we've got you, too. Dr. Percy Mack is on the phone. We're going to go to break right now. Give us a call, 783-9936, 783-WW. Oh, I see the phone lines lighting up. You guys call us, 783-9936, 783-WWD, and we'll be right back.
Well, we're still catching every game, just a lot more from home than here in the stands, huh?
Yeah, and when we do get to go, Dad says we got to bring our own peanuts and stuff.
Looking for some extra ticket money this season? Let a State Farm agent do a free discount double check that could save you hundreds of dollars on car insurance.
We'll always be there for this team, even when we can't actually be here.
Ride with the #1 car insurer in South Carolina. Get a quote from a local State Farm agent.
State Farm is there. Discounts may vary state to state.
Hi, it's Cynthia Hardy, and I'm here to tell you about an important spoken word event that I think we all, our children included, should attend. It's the 3rd Annual Milliken Festival, February 18th and 19th, featuring Nikki Finney, Kalama Yasalam, and Marjorie Wentworth. Rick Jones, you put this thing together. How can people reach you?
Well, Cynthia, you can reach us by email at ajbmfoundation@live.com or through our website, artheniambates.com. That's ARTHENIA.com. And you can also contact me directly at 704-576-2910.
And I know you're still taking donations, so we want our folks to know if they'd like to contribute to this effort, they can also do that by reaching you.
That's correct, Cynthia.
Hi, this is Nikki Finney. I can't wait to see everybody in Sumter and Columbia on February 18th and 19th.
Did you know South Carolina has one of the highest rates of prostate cancer in the nation? There's good news, though. Early detection can save your life.
Palmetto Health's Office of Community Services offers free screenings to men who qualify. The tests are quick and easy, and follow-up services are available. Screenings are held at several sites in the community.
If you're an African-American man over age 40 or a Caucasian man over 50, call now to see if you qualify for a free screening.
Call Palmetto Health at 296-CARE. That's 296-2273.
Education is very important to the South Carolina Education Lottery, and so are our players. When our games become something other than fun, it's time to stop and reach out for help. If you or someone you know or love needs help, please call the South Carolina Gambling Helpline. Educating players is very important to us. So have fun, play smart, but always play responsibly.
For more information, call 1-877-452-5155.
Choosing a Medicaid plan can be hard. You may ask yourself, who will give me the best benefits? And who will take care of my family and me when I need it most? Absolute Total Care will. We go above and beyond to bring you the benefits you need, like vision and dental for the whole family, including adults. Adults receive a $125 allowance toward prescription glasses or contacts and routine dental visits as part of your plan. We even have programs for new and expecting moms and a rewards program that is available to Absolute Total Care members only. So what are you waiting for? Upgrade now to Absolute Total Care and get more from your health plan. Enroll in Absolute Total Care by calling 1-877-552-4642. For more information, visit AbsoluteTotalCare.com. That's 1-877-552-4642 to enroll in Absolute Total Care today.
Absolute total care from the heart.
Welcome back to Onpoint with Cynthia Hardy. Thank you for tuning in today. We are, of course, talking about the significance of street culture on the African-American experience. Fat Rat the CZAR is in here, so is 48 Roy, so is Preach Jacobs, and so is Ben FREEZY. We're going to go to the phone lines right now and talk to Rod. Hi, Rod. Thank you very much for calling us today.
Hello, Cynthia Hardy. It's a very, very interesting and quite informative show today. I want to give a shout-out and give a lot of respect to the artists that you have on there. I know they're doing great things. And with respect to your topic, I want to say that, for one thing, hip-hop culture and street culture are two different things. I don't think that we should look at both of them as being the same because, for one thing, hip-hop culture is an expression for upliftment. And if you really look at the roots of the culture and what its intent is, it's the direct opposite of the violence. Its intention was to take people away from the violence. Street culture, it is what it is. Whatever goes on the street, it is what it is. Hip-hop is something else.
Rod, tell me how you explain, then, that hip-hop raps about what goes on the street.
Well, hip-hop talks about what goes on in the street, but then you have other artists that talks about other things. You have your intellectual artists that may not necessarily talk about what happens in the street. Now, I think that so far as with the artist that talks about what goes on in the street, that's one aspect. Mm-hmm. And so far as hip-hop music, it's not like the entire hip-hop music is one genre. Just like when the speech mentioned rock and roll earlier. Uh-huh. Well, when you talk about rock and roll, you have all type of genres when it comes to rock. The same with hip-hop. Now in 2011, we have all kind of flavors when it comes to hip-hop. And there's so many artists that are saying a lot of great things, and there's a variety of artists that are talking about different subject matters. But one thing we have to understand is just because we don't hear those artists, especially on the radio, doesn't mean that they don't exist. I mean, there are a lot of artists that are doing some extraordinary things. And your guest on there is an example. I mean, I know Speech, you put out an...
Preach. His name is Preach.
Speech is on Arrested Development, but I know him too, so it's all good.
I'm sorry.
It's all good.
No, it's okay. No, I think Speech when I look at Preach because he reminds me of the guy from Arrested Development.
We both light-skinned and got dreads. That's all it is.
He reminds me of the same
as long as I ain't kids, we can't play.
The brother put out a CD called Garveyism. He put out a CD called Garveyism.
Yeah, that's me.
And so what I want to say is the hip hop culture. I mean, it's not just the music. I mean, we have the DJing, we have the breaking, we have the aerosol arts, and then we have the other element of knowledge. So I think that hip hop is just so broad. And now, I mean, I'm not trying to contradict the topic for today, but I'm just saying that street culture and hip hop, we shouldn't get the two.
Right. I do want to tell you how we came about it and give you a little bit of information before I let you go. What we're saying today is that what role does street culture have on the African-American experience? And I am asserting that born out of hip-hop is this whole street culture phenomenon with our children, where it breeds disrespect for authority. It breeds an attempt to want to get street cred so that you can rap about it and sing about it and earn a lot of money.